Well, we're back on the Ham International Concorde 2. As you would have seen in part 1, we got the thing receiving, and it seems to be receiving quite well. We will cover the alignment of that later, but I want to look at transmit today. So let's get the covers off. Now I've managed to find online copy of the Ham International Concorde 2 service manual, and I've printed this off, so this will be very useful for today, so we can run through how this all works. It should be good. And one other thing that I did notice when I was editing the video for part 1, let me just get this over here. Take these speakers off. Was down here, I noticed there's another wire just hanging around here. Now I don't know what this is actually off or where it's even going to. Looks like it's coming off the band switch. I'll have to get a torch and get digging after that. So we've got another wire there that's off. I'm not too sure about these wires on the band switch, and there's also a little black wire I've just noticed here sticking up in the air. Looks like it's coming off the noise blanker as well, so definitely got 1 or 2 wires off. So anyway, we will follow up on that and see how we go. I'm still unsure about whether I'm meant to have 41 to 80 on the low band, 1 to 40 on the mid bands, and 41 to 80 on the high bands. The low bands are just throwing me at the moment, but we will get there. So these wires hanging off, we've definitely got to sort out, but I'm going to just see whether we can up the transmit power today and see how this goes. So let me just have a quick read of the service manual. The power for pack for today I'm using is my Smart 2, my 7 to 9 amp power supply, and this was the one, if you've been a long-term subscriber, you will remember went up the chute and put 26 volts into my Royce home base and caused all them problems. I've mended it now because I put a new transistor on the back, and everything's fine. It's putting out 13.78 volts. I checked it just before I even thought about using it this morning, and it's fine and it's constant. But I do have some plans for this power supply because I don't trust that at all, and I'm thinking about this quite a bit actually. I'm going to mod a few of my power supplies, and I will cover the mod in a future video, because at the end of the day you never know when you plug into those power supplies what voltage they're putting out. You saw what happened to me. It went to 26 volts, and the first I knew about it was when smoke was coming out the radio. So unless you're lucky enough to have some sort of meter on there, you're stuffed. So I'm going to do a mod on my power supplies, and I'm going to do it on all of them to make sure that that never happens again. Anyway, that's for a future video. So I've got me meter, dummy load and everything, so let me have a quick read of the manual and we'll start to tune this thing up. So looking at the service manual, the first thing to do is check the PLL, and it says connect frequency counter to pin 3 of IC1, which is the PLL 02A, and I should have 10.240 megahertz, and the tolerance is plus or minus 50 hertz. So you can see the frequency counter in the background now. So if I just quickly put my probe onto the pin 3. This is the advantage of having it in an IC socket. So we've got 10.24 bang on. So there's nothing wrong with that. That's adjusted correctly. Okay, so now we've got to look for test point 3 and adjust the offset frequency adjustments. So let me find out where test point 3 is on the board. Well, just had a blonde moment because I just realised I had a copy of the Sideband export service manual. I paid £6 for this a little while back. Now within this manual there is something that's going to be rather useful actually. Here. This is a layout and it shows where all the test points are. Now according to this other manual I'm using, we need to look for test point 3. And test point 3 is just to the right here of the VCO block. And that green lump just here is the VCO box, so test point 3 is just down there, so I need to get down in there and look at it. We can see here is the underside of TP3 and TP4 which are together. Now TP3 is the furthest one that way, so TP3 is the left hand one of the two here, so you need to probe on that one there, just under that wire, if I can move it there. And then next to it is a good earthing point here for the probe, so that's what I'm going to use to probe for. Now the manual says we should have on low 20.105, mids 20.330 and highs 20.555. But I don't seem to have those. I've got different frequencies, so let me show you what I've got. Okay, so we'll put the power pack on. I've got the band switch on low, and we'll probe onto the pin, and I'll get 19.881, so that should be 19.880 for the lows. Then if I move the selector switch to the mids, I get, let's get my probe on, 20.10618. Then if I move the probe to the highs, I get, probe on here. Here we go. I get 20.33095. Now 330 is what we want, but it says plus or minus 40 hertz, so that one's okay I think. But when we go back to the lows, he says that one's a bit out, that should be 880. So let me just have a fiddle around with CT1 for the lows, CT2 for the mids, and CT3 for the highs. They should be located, and they are, oh you can't see it, that's CT1, CT2 and CT3. Not sure why I've got a CT4, I don't know what that one does, but these three here are for the crystals. Now if I look at my crystals, I've actually got 19.880, oh I can't see the others, hang on. Yeah, so moving left to right on my crystals, this is 19.880, that's 20.105, and that's 20.330. So this manual, where it's saying that for lows I should have 20.105, is actually wrong. So that's good, isn't it? You print off the Concorde 2 manual and it's actually got different crystals in it to what I've actually got fitted. Yeah, I don't know what to say to that. Let's try the Sideband export manual, see what it shows in here. Yeah, see this one here, 19.880 gives 26.515 to 26.955, which is the lows, so that's correct. Then 20.105 gives 26.965 to 27.405, that's the mids, that's correct. And then the 20.330 gives 27.415 to 27.855, which is what I know as the highs. So this manual actually seems a bit better really. yeah, it's a bit of a mixture of all really. Okay, I'll have to just do what I can. Let me just have a fiddle with these coils and I'll come back. Right, I've been through the frequencies now, so if we go back to low and had a fiddle. Oh, God, getting this probe on has been a right pain in the backside. Hang on. Right, so on lows we got 19.880. On the mids we got 20.10522, and on the highs 20.33006. So back to the mids, 105. Hang on, this blimmin' probe. What you can't see is the way I've got the blimmin' probe balanced up in the air. I can't get back on there again now. No, can't get the thing back on there. Anyway, you saw the frequency, so that bit's all good. So now we've got to use the oscilloscope, and we've got to connect scope to TP3 and adjust T1 for maximum amplitude. Just T1 for maximum amplitude. Okay. Alright, we'll have to head off to the oscilloscope. This is really not helpful at all. So this manual, connect to frequency counter to test point 5. Adjust CT4 for 10.695 megahertz. Where the hell is TP5? If I look on the diagram here from this manual, he says, if I can find it again. Sorry about this, just lost the diagram. I've got TP1, TP3, TP4, no TP5. So there's nothing there. This manual here has got no diagram showing alignment points in it whatsoever. And the alignment points on the board here, because I've got TP3 and 4 together immediately alongside each other here. So now I'm going to have to get a little torch and I'm going to have to physically scan the board looking for the alignment points. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and get my notebook and I'm going to draw and make a note of all the alignments in here and come up with my own alignment diagram and instructions for this Concorde 2, because this is just madness. I have to say, I'm not very impressed with these alignment instructions. Right. So, on upper sideband, we have, again, if I can get the probe on there, and get it to stay on there. Right. So we've got 10.69488, should be 10.695. Go to lower sideband, should be 10.692, which it is. Then back to upper sideband. So we're within spec on those two measurements. What I've done is on the radio, I removed this board by taking out this screw. Actually, let me do that and I'll show you. Because if you need to do it, you'll have to do it. I cannot find test point 5. I have no idea where that is on this board. So what I did is I carefully moved this back, and then down here you have trimmer CT4 there, and then you've got trimmer CT5 there, and this is the 10.692 crystal. So what I did is I probed on one of the pins of CT4 and I adjusted CT4 to get me right near 10.695. CT5, which is for lower sideband, and the 10.692 I didn't need to adjust because that was pretty much within spec. But where the test point is for that, I have no idea. But I've got the right frequencies, so that's what I'm going to run with and put in my notes to do for the future. I've got nothing else to work with. Right, I'm hoping you can see that there. I've got the probe onto test point 3. We're going to adjust coil T1 on that little board that's up on the top for maximum scope display. Oh, wrong way. Whoa, we have gained loads there. Let's go make it a bit bigger just so we can get maximum. Let's move that down. Right, that's definitely on top of that line. Right, that is definitely maximum now. So we definitely gained a lot there. I'm not quite sure what that adjustment does, but yeah, we've peaked it. You leave the paper alone. Right, next thing we're going to do is we've got to adjust the VCO. So we've got to set the band selector to low, channel selector to 1, so that'll be 41 on this bottom. And then we've got to connect the voltmeter between TP1 and ground. Adjust the core of the VCO block for 4.2 volts plus or minus 0.1. So I can go 4.1 to 4.3 volts. Now I've hunted round and I've found test point 1 is immediately to the left, as you've got the radio facing you at the front of the green VCO block down there, and I've got my probe on there. So if we turn that on, put this on to channel 41, I've got 3.94 volts, so that's a bit low. So I'm going to have to go and find one of my adjustment tools to fit in the core of that, and we'll give it a little move and see if we can get it to 4.2 volts. Right, I've spent ages hunting around and I brought a set of ceramic screwdrivers, and I've got a YR034H ceramic Phillips screwdriver, and that fits perfectly in the top of this core. Which allows me to set it to 4.2 volts. So it was quite a way out. Right, bang on 4.2 volts. Okay, so that looks good. Right, RF power, set the band selector to low, just T3, set the carrier leakage. How are we doing this? This is all the two-tone adjustments. RF power, compare. So where do we tweak up for? That's audio output, squelch. Ah. Well, it doesn't tell you how to set it for FM or AM. And for RF power adjustment, you've got to set up a dummy load. Oh, hang on. Set the mode selector to AM, put it on mids, adjust RV14 for 4 watts RF output. Okay. So there's no other tuning to do. So we're going to adjust RV14. Alright, let me have a look round, see where the hell that is. Because I can't see RV14 anywhere. Which is weird though, because we haven't run through the transmit chain as yet. So I'm a bit confused. Right, let me have a look into this. I'm very quickly coming to the conclusion that whoever actually wrote the export manual and this other Concorde manual I'm working from didn't actually own one of these radios. It's just ridiculous. Nothing seems to match. So I've taken a flyer on what I believed was the RX coils. I've set the radio onto FM and I've had a tune. If you can see the meter there, now for FM I've got a solid 4 watts. So you can see that there. Now what I did to do that is I ran up a load of coils up this side of the board, and using the diagram that I've created, your tuning coils are T3, T4, T5, T6, T7, RV2, L12 and L14, and if you run up those, they actually managed to get me 4 watts. Now if we look on, that's on FM, so if we go on to back on there, that's FM. If I go AM, I've got the same, so that works for both. Now the actual S meter, you can see that's pegging off. Now I can adjust that, he says. What's that one, wasn't it? Yeah, RV3. Hang on, I've not got the right tool in, that's why it's not adjusting. Okay, so we can see the meter there. Then we can bring it all the way back down or put it up. So we'll set that up to just over S9, which is 4 watts for TX. I hope you can see that move. I'll just demonstrate that again in case you couldn't. So we key it up. So the needle's up. And then we go to RV3, which is at the back of the radio. If I can actually see what's going on past the camera, we'll set that onto the 9. There we are, that's good to go. Done. Right, now RV3, to trim it on TX, is actually, if I can get this thing there, this middle one here, RV3, the one in the middle, between those two, that one there. So the good news is that by trimming that up, and the reason I wanted to do that to see if I could get the power up from 1.5 watts to 4, is I now know that the finals, in theory, should be pretty good. As I say, my diagram is slowly growing. I've got RV1 down to RV2 million, and yeah, we've got RV3, which is TXS meter, and then for TX, as we say, we've got the coils running up this side here, and then the RVs up the top. I've just written this out because I've also put all the test points on. I'm going to mark up which one's those, because I'll say the instructions for this are just useless. I think, as I mentioned, the same person who did the Medusa mod on this has also written that manual.